What is the greatest human fear? A Buddhist perspective. Human beings begin to feel fear from the moment they become aware of themselves. Fear arises very early, very naturally, and follows us throughout our entire lives. Sometimes it is loud and intense, making our hearts race and our breathing turn shallow and rushed. At other times, it is quiet and subtle, hiding behind wandering thoughts in the middle of the night, when everything around us has fallen into stillness. Yet no matter how it appears, fear is always present, like an uninvited companion walking beside us. We fear failure. We fear rejection. We fear losing our jobs, losing money, losing the people we love. We fear illness, aging, loneliness. And more deeply still, we fear death. But if we pause long enough to truly observe, we may notice something strange. All of these fears, no matter how different they seem on the surface, produce the same inner experience. The heart beats faster. The chest tightens. The stomach contracts. The mind begins to magnify worst-case scenarios. The body reacts as if it were facing a single, fundamental threat. So the question arises: are we truly afraid of many different things? Or are all these fears simply different masks of the same fear? 1. When we dare to ask why. Buddhism does not encourage us to avoid fear. On the contrary, the Buddha invites us to walk directly into it with full awareness and radical honesty. One of the simplest yet most profound practices is to repeatedly ask the question, why? You are afraid of losing your job. Why? Because you would have no money. Why is having no money frightening? Because you would not be able to provide for your family. Why does that make you panic? Because you would be seen as a failure. Why does being seen as a failure hurt so deeply? Because at that moment, you feel you have no value. And if you have no value, perhaps you do not deserve to be loved. Perhaps you will be abandoned. Perhaps you will become invisible, as if you had never existed at all. With only a few questions, we move from a very concrete, external fear to something much deeper, the fear of not being enough. The fear of being nothing at all. Or consider another example: you are afraid of snakes. Why? Because a snake might bite you. Why is being bitten frightening? Because you could die. Why does death terrify you? Because you are afraid of no longer existing. Afraid that all your memories, dreams, relationships, everything, will vanish completely. Whether it is the fear of losing a job, or the fear of a snake, the destination is always the same: the fear of losing yourself. 2. Fear and attachment. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "From attachment springs sorrow. From attachment springs fear. For one who is free from attachment, there is no sorrow. Whence then fear?" At first glance, this teaching may sound harsh. Is the Buddha telling us not to love, not to care about anyone or anything? No, he is not urging human beings to become cold or indifferent. What he points to is the subtle but crucial difference between love and clinging. We may love someone, but when we cling, an unconscious voice arises within us. This person is mine. This relationship must last forever. This must not change. Yet deep down, we know the truth: everything is impermanent. Nothing can be held forever. And it is precisely the tension between our desire to hold tightly and the reality that we cannot that gives birth to fear. We cling to our job and fear unemployment. We cling to love and fear abandonment. We cling to health and fear illness. We cling to life itself and fear death. Fear and attachment are two sides of the same coin. 3. The 3 routes of fear in Buddhism. Ignorance: not seeing reality clearly. Ignorance does not mean a lack of information. A person may be intelligent, educated, and knowledgeable, yet still be ignorant in the Buddhist sense. Ignorance means not seeing the true nature of life. We believe things should be stable. We believe we can control life. We believe happiness must be held tightly. But in reality, everything changes. Nothing is fully within our control, and nothing lasts forever. When we resist this truth, fear arises as an inevitable consequence. Craving, desire, and the fear of loss. We crave safety. We crave success. We crave love and recognition. craving itself is not inherently wrong. But when it becomes intense, it casts a long shadow behind it, the fear of not obtaining what we want, or the fear of losing what we already have. In his very first teaching, the Buddha declared that craving is the origin of suffering. And wherever there is craving, fear is never far away. Clinging to self, belief in a fixed I. This is the deepest root of all. We believe there is a clear, separate self that must be protected. We build our entire lives around this image. Our name, our roles, our achievements, our personality, and we live with a constant, underlying anxiety that this self may be wounded, rejected, or erased. Yet in the discourse on the characteristics of non-self, the Buddha pointed out, the body is not self. Feelings are not self. Thoughts are not self. Consciousness is not self. Everything is a process. There is no fixed entity that can truly be called I. And if there is no permanent self to lose, then what, ultimately, are we afraid of? 4. Facing fear without running away. In the Bhayabhairava Sutta, the Buddha recounts his own time of practice deep in the forest. He, too, experienced fear. He heard sounds in the darkness, and fear arose. But he did not run. He did not avoid it. He did not distract himself. He stayed. He observed. He saw clearly. Fear does not disappear because it is suppressed, but because it is understood. 5. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a message. It tells us, there is something here you are holding on to too tightly. When we listen to fear and peel back its layers, we discover that it has no solid foundation. It is like a wave, powerful and intense, yet never separate from the ocean. Fear comes. Fear goes. But you are not fear. 6. Freedom is not escape. Freedom in Buddhism is not about abandoning life. It is about living fully without clinging, loving deeply, without possession, making effort without tying our identity to the outcome, living wholeheartedly without being haunted by loss. When we see clearly that the self is only a story, fear gradually loses its foothold. 7. Who are you, really? In the end, the most important question is not, what are you afraid of? But rather, who is the one who is afraid? When you remain with this question long enough, you may discover something extraordinary. The one who seems to be afraid is not as solid as you once believed. And in that clear seeing, fear does not need to be defeated. It simply dissolves. Because what you truly are was never something that could be lost.
Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch more interesting videos.